Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope everything is going well at your home and you are preparing yourself, you are equipping yourself for the board examination. My dear students, today we had come up with a new topic which is named as All is Not Lost. It is from your textbook, chapter number 9. My dear students, in this particular lesson, we are going to talk about the importance, the significance of the nurses. Nurses are the first phase of any hospital. They are there to help the injured one, they are there to help the ill people. So, my dear students, in country like Pakistan, we do not usually recognize nursing as a profession. It is very underrated profession. So to equip yourself to understand the profession of nursing, this chapter is very important. And do not forget that 12th May is the International Day for the nurses. My dear students, for this particular lesson, I have set three main objectives for the lesson. By the end of this lesson, my students will be able to comprehend the text with their contextual meanings. What do we mean by contextual meanings? Contextual meanings are the meanings which talk about the context of the word, contextual meanings itself, and then to appreciate the importance of nurses in the hospital. And then the last would be to learn how to write a narrative, how to write a story by adding autobiographical elements in the story. So, my dear students, before heading towards the chapter itself, I would like to ask you what you find the moment you enter the hospital. It may be a nurse, it may be a supporting staff, it may be a doctor. But, my dear students, nurses are the part and parcel of any hospital. Without nurses, doctor cannot work. So, my dear students, nurses are there to help the doctors and the patients in emergency cases or in normal or abnormal situations. And then I have found some slogans of a nursing profession. What they usually believe. They believe that save a life, you are a hero, and that is the most important. That is the most important slogan of nursing. Save one life, you are a hero. With this belief, nurses are there to help the injured people. And then, I am a nurse, what's your superpower? So now you can understand what are the slogans, what are the beliefs of the nurses. A nurse will always give us hope, an angel with the stethoscope. So these are some of the slogans of nursing staff. With this particular ideology of the nurses, I hope you may have understood all the ideologies of the nurses and the importance of nurses in the hospital. They are there to help the injured, they are there to safeguard the lives of our kids, of our parents, of our relatives. So, my dear students, All is Not Lost is a chapter in your textbook. It is on the page number 93. This is the main page of the chapter. I'm going to begin the reading of this chapter. I would like to ask you to note down the important explanation, important meanings of the words, and mark important words and mark the answers, the possible answers of the question. It was the beginning of my profession as a nurse. So this, you can say that this is an story of the writer itself, the writer herself, you can say, and a story of someone. I worked in the intensive care unit, ICU. You may have heard it before, of the hospital neurology ward. What is neurology? Neurology is a study of medicine which deals with the nervous system. So this particular nurse is working in a neurology ward. As a young professional, I wish to save the world. So what she believed when she started the career, she believed that she was there to help the world. She's there to safeguard, to save the world. I was excited to see the patients making quick recoveries from devastating accidents. Sh- So she was very excited. She was excited to have patients and then to recover them from devastating accidents. My dear students, as you work hard to equip yourself with the knowledge and then you appear in the exams and get good grades, the feelings that you have realized after getting A grade or A plus, similar is the situation with the nurses when they see the people getting recoveries. They get the similar feelings as when you get the feelings of A grades. Yet I was pained to nurse those who were struck with acute neurological disorders. My dear students, she was the one who had the pain to nurse those who had struck with severe neurological disorders, severe nervous system disorders. One day, standing at the bedside of a young patient, I wondered if she could make the same recovery like others. So she had young patient, and she was worried about her that might she recover or may not be. Hira had received, so the name of the patient was Hira. Hira had received severe head and spinal injuries. Spinal means backbone. Spinal injuries as she was hit by a speeding bus while crossing a busy road. I took her lifeless arms in my hands and tried to do several exercises on her, but in vain. Since she had a backbone injury, severe backbone injury, her nervous system was not working. The nurse did her best to recover and applied so many exercises on her, but all the exercises went in vain. Also, I asked her younger sister to come and talk to her, thinking that the voice of a near and dear might activate the nearly dead neurons. This was the strategy of the nurse to activate the deadly or the dead neurons. She could see but not talk. Her eyes showed a certain helplessness. I could read her mind through her eyes. Perhaps she wanted to say, "Please help me." She may be paralyzed. She could not speak, but she can see. Through her eyes, the nurse was seeking that, and she was thinking and she was believing that the patient wants a chance of survival and she wants help from the hospital staff and the nurse herself. A fellow nurse came near me and asked, "Rahila, what are you doing?" "Fighting a lost battle." Now, fighting a lost battle means that the patient was a helpless case. So, her fellow nurse asked Rahila, the nurse, that you are fighting a lost battle. I was shocked at first to hear a colleague making a hopeless comment. Then I replied, "I'm trying to make her brain process," by her sister's voice. It has been seen many a times that when a patient goes to coma or she is struck with acute nervous systems disorder, the voice of the nears and the dears could help the patient to recover from that acute severe injury. Also, I'm doing my best to ensure that her arms and legs get proper exercise. Exercise is one of the best curing exercise for such patients. This might help her walk like a normal person. Meanwhile, a senior doctor on duty walked in. He gave me an ironic smile. Ironic means you can say satirical, and said, "If you spend most of your duty hours on one patient, we will have to recruit more nurses to attend the other patients." My dear students, the meanings of these two words are not correct over here. The meaning of ironic is tyrical, and recruit means to equip, to have new nurses, more nurses to attend the other patients. Please go and see the other patients. The nurse was very loyal to her patient, but the doctors were saying that this is a hopeless case. You need to attend other patients. But Rahila was the one who wanted to save the life of Hira. We do not have much hope for her. I don't think she can ever walk again. So, according to the doctors, she could not recover from the injury. I was upset. The advice to leave the patient unattended did not seem right. I knew that she had suffered from major neural damage, but she needed to be given a chance. An inner voice somewhere within me spoke, try once for her. Try once for her. Try once for her means Rahila knew that she was a hopeless case, but she wanted to have a last one effort to safeguard, to save the life, to save the normal life of the patient Hira. I went to the senior nurse and told her that I wanted to help this patient and work with her more closely. The senior nurse looked at me with utter surprise. Utter means sudden surprise, and remarked that she had orders from the doctor in charge to shift her to the general ward. The doctors thought that she was a hopeless case and the bed must be spared for other patients. You need to remember that she was in the ICU, intensive care unit. The doctors ordered the nurse in the most senior nurse to shift her in the general ward. General ward means where general patients usually exist, and the bed must be spared for other. They wanted to have a bed for the patients that could be recovered in future. I was shocked to hear this. The patient's family also requested me to help them fight the case. Under such abnormal situation, under such severe situation for the family, nurse who was helping the family was a wonderful case to listen. Something needed to be done. I could not leave my patient fighting a lost battle on her own. I made up my mind to risk my career and help the patient. I requested the senior doctors to allow me attend this young helpless patient. Somehow I was able to make the patient stay in the ICU. So because of the efforts of Rahila, Hira got the opportunity to stay in ICU, where she would get the intensive care. I continued to work on Hira, but she was not making much recovery. I means Rahila is there. I felt as helpless as she was to see her lie on bed in a miserable state. Miserable means dejected. Could I be able to justify my stance before the senior doctors? This is the question asked by Rahila to herself. I did not lose hope. I continued to work with patience and kept doing exercise with her. Gradually, I could see her making a slight recovery. One day, I was thrilled to see she lifted her little fingers. All was not lost. So, after so much efforts applied on the patient, Rahila saw a minor recovery from the patient, and she was saying all was not lost, and there is an exclamation mark. Out of expression, Rahila said this. I was sent on a 3 month training course to Karachi. I made all possible attempts to leave my patient in good hands. I returned after 3 months to see my patient's bed taken up by another. My feet froze to the ground. She got fear. She was afraid. I did not have the courage to ask what happened. Because she was very nervous, she was afraid. She was thinking that Hira might be dead, and So that is why she was nervous to ask the question what had happened to the patient Hira. As I stood near the bed with several questions popping in my mind, I felt a gentle pat on my shoulder. Someone touched the shoulder of Rahila. I turned around and see a young woman, and that young woman was Hira, smiling at me. Are you looking for your patient? She said and gave me a big hug. Thank you for everything you did. I know you did not allow them to make me led a crippled life. Crippled life means a life without without living a normal life, an abnormal life. So Hira was very happy. She was thankful to Rahila who supported her through her difficult time, through her injured when she was injured. I stood still until her family came around with big smiles on their faces. Thanks to Allah, she was my patient, standing and walking on her own feet. I could not recognize her without the machinery and tubes around her body. When she was entered the hospital, she was equipped, and um, she was made up with the machinery and tubes on her body. Now she was without all the machinery and tubes on her body. She walked on crutches. Crutches means with sport with which she would leave in a few months. I was glad that my efforts bore fruit. I mean, she was successful. Bore fruit means that she got the fruits of her efforts. But most of all, I was happy that Allah Almighty had helped me win a lost battle. She knew that she was fighting a very difficult war, but she did her best to save the life of a patient, and she got the results, and she was successful in her efforts. She and her family had entered into a considerable bond of friendship with me. Bond means a link, a connection between two things. So there was a friendship bond between her, Rahila, and the family of Hira and Hira herself. I was humbled by the sense of gratitude towards me. Gratitude means thankfulness. I felt a sense of renewed strength in me. She got the power. She was now again equipped herself with new hope. Where there is a will, there is a way. I was proud to be a nurse. So she believed, she thought, and she is teaching to you where there is a will, there is a way. When you work hard to achieve something in your life, all the doors will open one by one. This is what Rahila is telling to you at the end of this lesson. So, my dear student, this is all from this chapter. Now, I want to recap all the lesson. This lesson revolves around one thing: all is not lost, and where there is a will, there is a way. So, these two main phrases are the crux of this chapter. My dear students, from this chapter, I would like to ask you: all is not lost. If you are not ready, if you are not preparing yourself, if you had not prepared yourself till now for the board examination, there are I would say all is not lost. I would ask you to start studying from today. Start preparing yourself for the final examination from today onwards, and when you will try your level best, you will see the doors are opening. The doors will open, inshallah. And you heard the story of Rahila. Rahila was a nurse who, when joined the nursing profession, had a hope to safeguard the lives of people. She had a patient named Hira. Hira had struck with neural damage, and she was a hopeless case, but Rahila was the one who supported her, who had served her, who fought with doctors to help the family of Hira. And at last, with so many exercises applied on Hira, she recovered from neural damage. My dear students, out of this lesson we have learned one main things. You should try again and again to get your goals in life. I hope you have learned this chapter, you have learned the explanation of this chapter, and nothing is left. I would request you to go back to the video and listen to it twice or thrice to understand fully. At the end, I wish you luck for your future, and I would say Khuda Hafiz.